Oh, yeah, sweet.
For sure.
That's so cool. Do that. Do that. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the first episode of the Impact Podcast. I'm Dylan, your host. Well, for time being anyway. We'll see how I do. Today's episode is brought to you by Impact Dog Crates. It's the only dog crate that doesn't suck. Impact Dog Crates has been manufacturing dog crates for over 10 years now, and it's the last dog crate you'll ever have to purchase, guaranteed. Today, we have Peyton. He's our cinematographer. He does a lot of photography for us as well. We're just going to kind of jump right into it, see what he's about, a little bit of background on him, and then kind of his thoughts as far as the company goes, where content has gone today and things like that. So for starters, Peyton, where'd you grow up?
I actually grew up in Post Falls, which is just, west of here. To end back up here as an adult is super weird. It's like a weird full circle.
So were you born here then?
No, born in Hood River, Oregon. So always been West Coast based, but growing up, my dad was a contractor, so we moved around a lot and such. But it's weird, yes, because I have really fond memories of this town and this city here.
And then to kind of come back to it.
And to come back's really cool, and for it to be like in line with a career path that I'm really passionate about. It's life works in mysterious, funny ways. So yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. I was in Nevada, Reno, Tahoe for several years, and sort of found myself back up in here. So
were you in Reno before here then?
Yeah, I met Jake Pereira, who works with us. We'll get him on here at some point here. But I met him years ago through some just essentially modeling stuff that through his wife was doing at the time, actually. Joanna.
Wait a second, you were modeling?
I was shooting the models.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But met her and then ended up meeting him through that, and just sort of a weird full circle, years later after doing several projects together and him helping me and some other business partners at the time out on some stuff. They ended up moving back up here, and when COVID happened, obviously things got a little rough.
Sure.
And just things lined up, but we got back in touch, and there was an opportunity for work with you guys here at Impact. So
yeah,
I took the leap of faith, thanks to Jake, really put in a good word for me. So
sponsored by Jake.
But and then here I am, I guess. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So what was that transition like from moving from Reno to here, coming to a company? I don't know if you've heard of Impact before. Mm-hmm. What kind of nerves did you have and things like that?
Yeah. So I was freelancing for 10 plus years. I started in 2011, fresh out of high school. For all you freelancers, it's a very stressful career path to take, to just jump in on your own and try to make a business and a career out of that, especially in a lucrative industry like video and photo now. 10 years ago it was already competitive, and now it's just insane because everyone's a content creator. Now you have iPhones shooting practically content the same quality as cameras, and
sure.
Prices of gear continue to go up, as well as a lot of cheaper options too. So everybody's in it now. It's very competitive and it's difficult. So I just personally got to that point where I was so tired of struggling, trying to breach, that gap with staying busy and consistent and being successful, mm-hmm. that I finally was like, I need a stable job somewhere. And again, things just lined up here, and this is a really cool position, still being able to be creative and do content, but for one brand and try to help one image versus all the jumping around, used to do one day you're shooting a commercial for a bar, shooting mixed drinks or something, and then the next year maybe you get lucky and you book a trip and you're going to Mexico and you're just shooting with models for, there's a lot of bouncing around. There's a lot of fun, but there's no consistency in that. So
sure.
Mentally it does take a toll.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs, mm-hmm. as far as probably not knowing what you're doing the next day a lot of times, or maybe you have 2 weeks planned out, but it's okay, after that 2 weeks, what's coming next? So I could definitely see that. And not only that, trying to focus on creating the content itself and immersing yourself, in making the mixed or filming the mixed drinks, to then going to Mexico and shooting models. There's a big gap difference as far as what you're shooting there. So
sure.
That's cool. What got you into film? What made you start doing film and photography and stuff like that?
I'm going to try to keep a long story shorter here, but
tell us the long story.
So it was, when you're growing up, your parents are always like, what are you going to do when you grow up? Or what are you passionate about? And a lot of sure. Younger kids in our generation, I don't know, whatever, millennial, there's a lot of angsty young teens, so for years you fight that and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so that was me 1000%. I was, a troubled child for a long time. And, but I got to that point, I was in my senior year of high school, 2010, 2011. I was on Facebook. This is kind of when Facebook was taking a ramp towards being now the dominant social media, or one of them. But at the time I came across this video that this guy, Devinsupertramp, who, in hindsight now is, he's one of one of the most famous YouTubers. He does a lot of high action lifestyle, sports, like video stuff, just a lot of high energy fun. People are always involved. It was just really awesome, you know, and I scrolled past that video and like immediately hooked my attention.
Just clicked.
I was like, I don't know what I'm passionate about, but I like being artsy, you know, and like I was like, I want to make videos like that. I want to make people feel that emotion, you know.
Yeah, get that feeling when they watch your videos.
Yeah, pretty much. And at the time, you know, I was working for my dad a little bit here and there, doing, you know, construction stuff, and I saved money and, you know, went to Best Buy and bought my first little camera. And then from there, you just, when you're first new into something like that, you're super passionate.
Oh, yeah.
So you really devote. And back then it's easier because you don't have a job necessarily.
Yeah.
You live under, you know, your parents' roof. You don't have bills yet.
Sure.
So you have a lot more free mental space to devote towards a passion to that extent. And I really, really jumped like head first in.
That's awesome.
Like I used to put ads on Craigslist or on like just weird, sketchy websites locally. I grew up in Redding, California for a long time, and that's not necessarily a big film community, you know.
Yeah.
But I put ads on Craigslist or on Facebook or whatever, just looking, and I used to just type things out like, I'm looking for people with cool talents. Like if you can do anything remotely awesome, please reach out to me and let's shoot some stuff, you know. And I actually made a lot of good friends doing that, and I shot some pretty cool stuff. I met this chick that did like some gnarly like fire hula hooping, and I met this like dance team that used to travel and do competitive work and stuff. So made a lot of really cool friends doing that. And so I did that for a couple of years, and then I'd say the biggest leap happened sort of in the background, which was, so originally this Devinsupertramp guy, right? Like I used to reach out and email him and this other guy that I had found. His name's ScottDW. And I was kind of back and forth with emails with them over time as like a fan. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they would intermittently reach back out and, you know,
a little bit here and there,
answer some questions I had.
Sure.
But so over the course of 3 years, I never really quite broke through with Devin. He was like on top of the world at that time. Scott was sort of up and coming. And so I kind of fell more into like Scott's direction, and we actually like kind of really connected over time. And at the time I had moved to Reno, Tahoe, and I worked with a good friend of mine, Nick Sorrentino, who at the time was also doing photo video production work. And we were, you know, struggling, trying to make things happen. But Scott and his team with Devin, actually, Devinsupertramp, they were in Reno shooting a commercial for Kellogg's.
No way.
At the time. And you know, I had talked to them both via emails and stuff for a couple of years off and on, but Scott actually remembered that I lived in Reno, emailed me or Facebooked me like super late the night before the shoot, and was like, hey, this is super random, but you live in Reno, right? And I was like, yeah, you know. Well, so anyways, I mean, long story short, he invited me to go hang out on set with them.
No
They
kidding.
were shooting at a park in Somerset, which is this nice like gated community in Reno. And it was with some pro snowboarder dude at the time. They imported truckloads of snow and built like a snowboard ramp course at this park.
No way.
And
That's
it was
wild.
like, I don't even know. I forgot. It was like spring or like late fall, or I mean, it wasn't even like, there was no snow anywhere.
Shouldn't have been snow out there.
And dude, I got to meet, Devin and Scott. And like, I have a photo with them. I should try to find that and insert that right there. But
there you go.
Dude, that changed my life. Like, because keep in mind, like those are my idols. Like these two dudes were more important to me than like the president. Like I didn't care about none of that, you know. These dudes were my idols, and like to meet them and have both of them right there was just like unbelievable. So from there, just things proceeded, and I kept in contact with them now that I had like a
actual personal experience with them.
Yeah. Devin at the time then continued to super blow up, so he kind of fell out of the map there. But me and Scott actually got really close, and he actually invited me out to Utah, Salt Lake, where they were based at the time. Shot BTS for the 2015 Ford Mustang release that he got. Got booked a job for a commercial shoot for them. I was there for a few days, loved it. You know,
that would have been a huge highlight.
It was cool.
Even just shooting BTS, seeing that premiere coming out, basically being able to see all that stuff before the public gets to see it.
It was cool too, because at the time, I had been following him and like all of his friends on social media, and that was the first time I met them all.
Oh wow!
Like all of them at once, and because I didn't realize at the time that the Mormon filmmaking community was massive, and at the time they like really had a hold on the YouTube filmmaking, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So to go there and kind of like be introduced to all that at once was like super overwhelming, but awesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you all knew each other. Like,
yeah,
I've literally been watching all of you individually.
All of you separately, yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool, man. We did that. I came home back to Reno. I was working this job at a door like shop, like making like doors for homes, and was horrible. Like delivering like truckloads of hundreds of pounds of doors by myself in the dead of winter. I got like super sick one day delivering. It was horrible. I hated my life at the time.
And where was this at again?
This was in Reno.
Okay.
Reno gets cold, man. It snows.
Oh, I know.
It was brutal. But anyways, and I told my other boss at the time, I was like, dude, I'm going to go do this. I don't care. He's like, you fire me. I'm going to do this, Anyways, he's like, yeah, go for it. But went back one more time to Salt Lake. We did a commercial for Mattel, which was the company that owns Nerf. They own like a lot of like toy. Mattel's like a big, did a commercial for them, BTS, shooting and hanging out with everyone. And I was there for, I think, almost a week that time. And at the end of that shoot, Scott basically offered me a job. And he's like, dude, we really like having you around, like super passionate. Like we click really well. Like you should move out here. He's like, I can't guarantee like consistent work, but I'll do my best to help you and we'll go from there. And it's like a, leap of faith. But I was like, dude, yes. So I went home, packed my stuff and moved. And that was pretty much my life for 2 years. And we did some pretty big stuff. Like I helped them on some pretty big projects, commercials for Oreo, Budweiser, like AT&T, like all sorts of stuff.
Oh, wow.
It was sick, man.
Big names.
Oh yeah. I was more, BTS and sort of helping with like the background production stuff. But that was my film school. I learned a lot on sets with them, and they were big sets,
That's funny you say that was your film school, because I was going to ask, do you have any kind of schooling or background in it? But it sounds kind of like the Hard Knocks way. You just, they're learning as you go, learning from other people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I always joke. I say that I went to YouTube University.
I think we've got a few guys around here that say that.
Sure. But yeah, and then so I did that, and things fizzled eventually, and I moved on and continued just pursuing stuff. But
what if you were to pick like one part of filming, what would be your favorite part and your least favorite part? Like what do you look forward to when you're planning a shoot and you're getting ready to go do something? Like what gets you going, and then what are you like, man, I don't want to do that part of it?
Honestly, I'd say it depends on the project. If it's something I'm personally super passionate about, I enjoy all of it, like shooting it to capturing those moments, editing it, and like really,
kind of full circle, putting everything, all the different shots together.
Sure. But if it's something that, you just, anyone who does this work knows if you get, hired for a job and it's another job, it's like you're not personally super passionate about it. Like you'll do your best work for it, but there's definitely a difference. So at that point, then, it depends. But
versus something that you're passionate about, that you personally love and enjoy. Yeah. That makes sense.
So, but I enjoy all of it. I mean, for sure. You've kind of gotten a taste now.
Yes,
a little bit. Me with stuff. It's, it's a little different with what we're shooting here. It is harder shooting bigger products like what we do now versus,
Sponsored by Impact Dog Crates.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, talking a little bit more on like when you came onto the Impact team, what was that transition like, going from freelance into, kind of a 9-to-5, so to speak, and, you have an office here and like kind of more in the same location every day. What was that transition like at first for you?
Yeah, first impressions were really good. I flew up here for an interview and met everyone, and it was super cool. All you guys were super nice and welcoming. And when I had officially made the leap and moved up here, I mean, it's still, I feel like to this day, what is it, 9 or 10 months later, however long it's been, it's weird waking up knowing I have like a guaranteed job with like a routine and a schedule, because for years that wasn't the case. But it's been really good. I think it's just learning to let go of the fear of hunting for work, knowing you have it. So it's like trying to redirect that, lost energy into something more useful for this purpose now.
Yeah, because you spent so many years, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you probably spent so many years always focused on how do I get that next gig, that next shoot, always just constantly looking for it. Now it's more probably geared a little bit more towards, how can we shoot this product differently, or how can we shoot it, geared towards, like the other day we were talking about holidays. How can we, make it to where this product fits in with holidays? So I could definitely tell a different feel from there. Do you feel like you still get the to be able to be as creative as you were before? Like with the way that we, you are kind of have to or limited to shoot here, do you still get to be as creative, or do you think it's a little bit less creative because we do have so specific shoots we have to do?
Well, obviously everyone here is super supportive, and Hunter and, Jake and everyone here, they're just basically they just tell us to do what we want to do, which is great, but also a little bit like overwhelming sometimes. It's like, well, there's literally a million things we could do. So I think just learning how to like hone that focus in on things has been the most difficult. Now it being just one theme the entire time. There's less diversity. But I think that for the most part, kind of figured that out.
I think we're heading in the right direction with it.
Yeah.
Kind of getting a better grasp on things for sure.
I'd say that I haven't specifically shot like a product for, this much for this long before. And especially like our products are big. Shooting these crates is not, we post a lot of stuff on social, and we have, some UCG other people, shooting content for us as well. And it's like, they do stuff at home, but like to actually do like true production shoots of this product isn't necessarily easy.
Mm-hmm.
It is, lighting, the inside of our crates get a little dark sometimes with like lighting, and it's like you have a black dog. All you're seeing is some beady eyes lit up. It's like, dude, that doesn't look great on camera. So I like to overthink those things probably more than I should. But I think that we have a really cool product though, and like having the freedom to be able to do what we want to do. We have really cool bosses who don't, they care, but they also don't in a good way.
For sure.
And that's a really good feeling.
Yeah, they want a specific quality. Sometimes there's ideas or like a general thing that we need to be shooting, but at the end of the day, it's, hey, go do it however you want to.
Yeah.
So it's nice to, I guess, to still be able to have that freedom. I would assume, to where it's not like, hey, we want this shot this exact way, da 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 da. Like, kind of here's the idea, go make something of it.
Well, in Hunter, pretty much you could just like throw a dart in the wall, hit a random idea, and he's gonna be like, oh yeah, sweet,
sure.
That's so cool. Do that, do that. Oh yeah, yeah. Which is really great,
Yeah.
Versus if he was like just nitpicking and he's like, no, I hate that, or no, we have to do this again, or I don't want to do that. It's just, that'd be a totally different vibe for all of us, so.
I wanted to ask you, we've obviously talked a ton about this off camera, but you could relate it with Impact or just separately. What is your take on the way content has changed in the last 10 to 12 months, let's call it, going from, being photos and landscape to a lot of vertical now?
Yeah.
And vertical video to add to that.
Sure. Obviously things just change in time, and, with iPhones now being as dominant as they are, like it just makes sense. Video is vertical. You're constantly scrolling, and like, I get it. I think for people who are a little more classically inclined with like cinematography and video work, like I have been, and many others, I know a lot of us are fighting that because it's more challenging, and it's not as cinematic, whatever.
Sure.
Like having that wide field of view definitely looks better. I just will always think that,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you kind of have to grow and adapt and do what is trending. And I know for our ad agency right now, like everything we do ad wise needs to be vertical, because that's just what people see, and that's what other companies are doing. You just sort of jump in and mold to whatever's trending, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever. But at the end of the day, we're business, we have to make money. And so I think it's just trying to learn to let go of that thought, which has been tough for me, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've been getting the hang of it. We've been shooting a lot more vertical.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think we're taking kind of a different approach on the vertical. We're not just shooting with a phone. We have a few different cameras, some really nice cameras, obviously, as well. As you know, I don't know that stuff very well, but kind of taking a different take on it, trying to make some cinematic verticals as well. And I think it's cool. It's given us the opportunity to where we're able to, kind of test out, okay, let's do some extremely high resolution verticals, and then let's just do some iPhone ones. Let's kind of see what works best.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that. If it was up to you, like in an absolute perfect world, what would you like to be shooting for Impact? If you got to pick every last detail of it, what would that be?
Yeah. More or less what we've been doing. I know I'm personally always hyper focused on shooting like big cinematic, beautiful stuff. Like I have a lot of inspiration with peers of mine who shoot, big commercials for like really big companies. And granted, there's typically big budgets to go with that. I think that's sort of like the fun part, is trying to learn how to be creative within not having like a budget necessarily, but still outputting that quality, or at least most of that quality of work. Kind
of making it look like you had a big budget when you really didn't.
My thing is, no matter what we're doing, I like to spend too much time trying to make it perfect. That's just one of my downfalls maybe, but I think any cinematographer or whatever probably feels the same way.
Yeah, but to your point, when you go to edit something later, whether it's this podcast or shoot we go out and do, or shoot we do here or whatever, you're going to be sitting there going, oh man, I should have moved that light. Oh,
yeah, 100%.
Man, I should have moved that plant. Oh, there's no depth in this picture. Oh.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be sitting there, and then you're, correct me if I'm wrong, but then you're not going to be as excited to edit it and everything, because you're like, it's missing this piece or it's missing that piece. So I can get it. You're, at the end of the day, you're an artist, and so you want things to look a certain way. So that makes total sense to me.
Sure.
Maybe give me like 2 of your all-time favorite shoots you've ever done, and then maybe 2 you've done for Impact.
I'd say probably two of my favorite would be, so I have a buddy who's a talent manager in Nashville. So he manages a couple like country artists, but Justin Moore is one of them. Really cool guy. I've done 2 music video shoots for Justin Moore, kind of through my friend Cody.
Sure.
But I know our first one was definitely a big one for us. That was our biggest budget that I had ever worked on to that date personally, on a more personally on a project. You know, when we did this stuff in Utah, I mean, I'm like the last budget we had was close to $1 million before I moved from Utah. Like those are huge budgets for those. And like, granted, I was shooting behind the scenes, you know, that wasn't my project. So whereas this Justin Moore shoot, we got a budget of $50,000, and I was much closer to the heart on that one, you know, kind of right in line with Cody. Cody was directing, I was DPing, cinematography, you know, and so I had a lot of kind of control with how everything looked, and I felt more of like a heart to that project. So that's a big one for me that I've always really loved, and we actually did a really good job. Like we killed it.
That's awesome.
We did half the shoot in Yerington, Nevada, so it's an hour and a half outside of Reno. But we did like this military scene. We actually hired an explosives team out of UNR, the college, through another friend that we have. Yeah, we rigged. They were fake explosives, but they do explosives for like Disney and stuff, and actually ship explosives out. It's really cool. But we had them come out, and we lined a path, and I'll put some B-roll over the thing. But yeah, we had it all triggered up, and on the take that we needed, you know, he detonated everything, and it's sick. We also did a string of tiny explosives that mimicked gunfire on the ground in dirt.
Oh, wow.
So when the soldiers in the video were running, you could see like it was as if they're getting shot at by like, you know, machine gun or something. It was cool.
Oh, wow.
So that'll always be a fun project for me.
Definitely put the B-roll over.
Yeah. Yeah. The other half was in Nashville, and that part was actually with Justin specifically. It was all of his performance shots. And to meet him was really cool, and he's just a super nice guy. He's got a beautiful family. He's just a cool dad, you know.
That's cool.
Kind of thing. And
just real good, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah. First time in Nashville, that was awesome. I mean, Nashville's super fun. So to be able to like go there for that reason and then just party and hang out for 2 days after was awesome. Yeah. You know, with just good friends of mine, and we all sort of started in Reno and dispersed outward, and we kind of made our own path in different ways, but to come back and do something that was really cool. So
for sure.
Yeah. Second, we did a shoot for this model agency in Mexico. We were there for like a week, but saying how it is, it was just basically me and 2 of my buddies and with like 20 chicks, and we were just shooting really cool slow-mo beach stuff for this modeling agency
for a week straight.
And it was all, you know, covered. Like it was at Playa Viva, which is actually a really cool location to go. It's like a little resort, you know, kind of tucked away, and really hospitable people there though. It was really cool. The food was amazing. Location was sweet.
Everything was all taken care of.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome experience. So probably those.
Okay.
For the sake of this conversation, you know.
So maybe we should go to something else then. Ask her the 2 favorites for impact.
So when I first started, I just kind of like took the camera and jumped out back in the warehouse, and we just shot like a bunch of which is like, that was new to me. I'd never shot, like I used to work in Tesla at the Gigafactory in Reno, and like, so I kind of understood production, but our space out here is like, you could eat off the floor in our warehouse. Like it's immaculately clean back there, right? So
100%.
So to be able to shoot that felt really good. It felt like, you know, and just being allowed to walk around back there kind of felt cool at first. Now I'm a little bit jaded, but like in a good way, you know?
Yeah.
But be able to roll around and just get cool shots of like manufacturing and like making these crates, it was really cool to see, because most people don't really fully understand what goes into making these.
Yeah. Walk me through that a little bit, like even like your first time when you came up here, so, you know, for your interview that you flew up here for, and so I remember I met you out on the manufacturing floor. Like what was that like, walking out there to see that? And cause I can't imagine you had any idea what you were walking into.
Yeah. So leading up to that, for like 2 months, I had been talking to Jake, you know, over the phone, and he was trying to finesse this position essentially for me, which was awesome. But you know, I had heard him talk about the space and the office and everything, and it's like you envision one thing, but actually seeing it, like he said before, is such a different experience. If you've been to like our office or our warehouse, like then you really get it. But my first impressions were like, actually the first thing I noticed when I walked into the building was it smelled like cologne, and I was like, dude, this is nice. It's a good smell, man. Yeah. But and then walking out back was just awesome, because again, I don't know what it takes to make a dog crate. Yeah. And to be able to see that we literally start from a raw sheet of metal, and it ends up being just beat to hell and just built into a crate with all the other parts is sweet. And it's all, you know, step by step out there, the whole paint booth, all of it was cool. But walking around, and just everyone's super nice out there too. Everyone's in a good mood, and just a good atmosphere here for work. So I feel like I've talked way too much.
No, you're good. This is awesome.
Dude, no one's gonna care about listen to all this. There's no way.
It's all right. If they make it this far, they'll get a little laugh out of it. So going back to it, basically we were talking about the manufacturing floor being super clean. We get that reaction like almost every time somebody comes here. It's funny because even people, like I was saying, that have been like on our Instagram or our TikTok and looked at the tours and stuff, and we give quite a bit of like video or content on there too. They're like, oh wow, I did not realize it was this big, or like, this is crazy how clean it is. And
right.
Michael Bailey, the owner, would definitely be very, very happy to hear that from everybody.
Totally.
There is, as he says, there is clean, and then there is Michael Bailey clean. And whether it's the office or the shop floor, everything needs to be Michael Bailey clean. Back to Peyton though, what are you looking forward to shooting next?
So, okay, we're coming up on holidays here. So we had a little meeting the other day, but I think what we're gonna try to do is get back on a track here with being a month in advance on like holidays and big key days throughout the year. I think this year since I started, I think for everybody has been it's a big transition year for the company. Yeah, there's been a lot of just change in general. So I think it's honestly been tough for us to get in rhythm. If that I think you're gonna get that. Yeah, it's been kind of confusing. So
I think between we've had some kind of internal changes with ad agencies, things like that, trying to figure out, what's working, what's not working, A/B testing things, determining, what Hunter wants, what our ad agency wants, to some degree what we want, what we're comfortable doing, what we're not comfortable doing. So, kind of figuring that out. I think it's obvious, I think we're starting to get going though. And I think, towards, the rest of this year and all of next year is going to be cool. Sure. I guess if there wasn't anything I missed, then I guess this is a good stopping point.
Yeah, it's a good tester. So we have Hunter, our boss. He's been driving himself mad, not knowing what we've been up to. We've been trying to plan this as of like a day ago. It wasn't that long, but
like 16 hours ago.
Yeah, because podcasts are trending right now, and like I guess to anyone who cares about the company or the topic who's discussing things, it might be interesting. I don't know if we could get 2 viewers, but I know that.
Well, you and I can watch it, so we got 2 views for sure.
Yes. But I think it's been a nice tester podcast. It was probably easier to keep it us.
For sure.
So we don't jump in, and then if it's like not great, make Hunter look bad, because we don't want that. So
No, we got to do some tests. But all right, well, there you have it, guys. Here's Peyton, our cinematographer. We hope you like the podcast. Again, like Peyton said, it's definitely our first one, so please share your comments below. Let us know what you like, you don't like. We're all good with whatever you want to say. Don't forget the podcast was sponsored by Impact Dog Crates. Hopefully have more for you here soon. Thank you.
Peace.